Hey everyone, how how are you? Happy Wednesday. Hope that you're doing well. Hope that your families are good and safe. I'm sorry, I don't know why. Why I guess I don't know why I got the started laughing as soon as the stream started, but I guess I just saw I don't know why I started laughing just now. I guess I just saw the stream. All right. All right, I gotta take that off. I started laughing as soon as I saw the stream videos, so maybe that was not such a great idea. Oh my god, that was funny. Why can't I stop laughing? I'm so sorry, guys. This has been a terrible start to the stream. Sorry about that. Uh, but I thought I'd try something different because I was doing some organizing and cleaning around, and I found my collection of cowboy hats from Texas because I told you guys I lived in Texas, and I have a couple of cowboy hats, and for some reason it looks so big on this stream. My god, look at this thing. It takes up half the screen. Oh my gosh. I think I need a new size too. I haven't worn this one in a little while. And this is like your average cowboy. It's not a very good one. It's you know, it's average materials. But I don't know why I couldn't stop laughing as soon as the stream turned on. That was hilarious. But anyways, it's a Wednesday. I hope that all of you are well. I apologize for the start of the stream. For those of you that are new, we like to do our global roll call where we ask people, let us know your city, state, country, province. Let us know where you're from. Let us know, where you're watching us from. Actually, and I want to put that on the LinkedIn because I always forget to include that on LinkedIn. Or excuse me, not on LinkedIn, on Instagram. So give me just a second to do that, guys. But I started laughing. God, it just takes up so much space, this stupid cowboy hat. But anyways, I hope that everyone is doing well. I hope that you're able to tell us where you're from. Let us join the community by just letting us know where you're watching us from. And today we're going to do something a little bit differently. We're going to look at an infographic that I found that I thought might be interesting to discuss. But before all that, I also like to do our opening note. And for the opening note today, I guess I did want to talk a little bit about Texas and the cowboy hats. And I say that just because, you never know where your career is going to take you, right? So I never thought that I would be living in Texas, but that opportunity presented itself and I went. And when you live in other places, right, you should try to take in the culture from the local area, right? So I had a friend and I asked them, hey, where can I get some cowboy hats? And we went out and they took me to a couple of stores, like local Texas stores. Leo says, it ain't our first time in the rodeo, kids. Okay, if you guys say that, then where's your cowboy hat picture? I want to see you post it in the Discord. But I went to some local Texas stores, bought myself a couple of cowboy hats. Later on, I had a cowboy hat custom made. Because like I said, this is very cheap material. If you guys don't know, this for some of you might not know this if you're from outside the United States, but the whole point of a cowboy hat, like in the tradition of cowboy hats, the whole point of a cowboy hat is to prevent rain. That's the whole point. It's supposed to be a dry hat for you to wear and have the rain falling away from your eyes. from your head. That's the entire purpose of how cowboy hats came to existence. And the way you do that is by the materials. And you're supposed to use like a beaver, because beaver's pelts always dispel water. So cowboy hats in this fashion are judged by how much of a beaver pelt they contain. So this one is a very cheap one. This is like a blend of beaver. This one's maybe only like 10% beaver. So the better ones are like 100% beaver, you know, and they're also much more expensive. But the point is that, you know, if you're going to be in an area, you're going to be in an area for a while. You're going to be with the people. You're going to have coworkers who grew up there, right? Colleagues from that area. It never hurts to embrace the culture just a little bit, right? So went out, got myself some cowboy hats. I never quite got cowboy boots because I think they're, you know, a little bit too uncomfortable. But sometimes you just have to embrace the culture, right? Hello, sir. I hope everything is going well. Osama, I'm not sure if things are going well. This hat, one, it made me laugh too much. Two, it takes up too much of the screen. And three, I need a new size. My head has gotten smaller since I got this. I think I've lost a significant amount of weight since I was in Texas, right? But Osama, things are not going well so far with this stream and this hat. But anyways, let me get to the introductions. Again, if you're just joining us, let us know your city, state, province, country, and let me know what you think of the hat. Give me a 1 if the hat's a go. Give me a 0 if it's a no-go. You're not going to offend me. Again, I was just, you know, allocating some stuff yesterday. You know, maybe I'm going to donate a couple things to charity. But I came across my hats and I thought I'd wear one on the stream just to be different, guys. You know, we got to mix things up sometimes in life, right? Yeah. So let me know what you guys think about this one. It's too loose. I need to do something about it. Give me a 1 if the hat's a go. Give me a 0 if it's a no, not feeling the hat. Leo says, let the show begin. Oh boy. Yeah, Leo. It's gonna be a heck of a show. Fatima obviously loves the hat. Oh, you guys didn't know it's Hat Wednesday? I don't know if this is gonna be a repeat, Rex. This might just be a one-off thing that we're trying here. You know, if you guys want to see like a better quality hat, I'm willing to show you guys that. This is like a cheap hat. You know, I just got this like at an average store. I think this is maybe like a $50 cowboy hat. So, you know, it's not a very high quality one. You know, I don't know if you guys know that, but like the very quality cowboy hats can be like over $1,000, $1,200, even higher than that. And that's US dollars. Joseph says, hello, Dennis, and everyone. Happy midweek. Happy midweek to you too, Joseph. It's already Wednesday. Where has the week gone, right? Fatima, our good friend in meekness, says, hey, sir. Hey, Fatima, hope you're doing well out there. Manoj, our good friend from Bangalore. Good morning, sir, and everyone. Manoj from Bangalore. Manoj, what do you think of the hat? Give me your vote down there. But yeah, go ahead and vote if the cowboy hat's a go or a no-go. Someday I'll wear my custom made one. Khalif, our friend Khalif says, good evening, everyone. Chief data scientist, hope we're doing well. I think we're gonna try to do better. We didn't start off so strong. I had a laughing fit at the beginning there, seeing myself in this stupid hat and how it takes up the whole screen. And on Instagram, it looks even worse because on Instagram, it's the entire screen. And I'm trying to adjust this brim here. This brim is a little broken. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hey, Dennis and all. Sarvesh here from Mumbai, India. Hey, Sarvesh. Good to see you. Good to see you consistently back. Robin says, howdy. Well, howdy to you too, Robin. Robin, remind us where you're from. I always forget. Let us know where you're from. Muhammad says, on Insta, it looks like a filter. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Muhammad. It looks a little comical, right? It looks a little comical. It is a little bit like a filter, right? Like, yeah, it does look a little funny. That's hilarious. It looks like a filter. Yeah, I think you're right. Rex, straight out of the Big Apple. Rex, always good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well out there in New York. Leo says, it ain't our first time in the rodeo, kids. Hey, you never know. For some people, it is their first time in the rodeo. Speaking of rodeo, another reason I'm happy I found this is because, I don't know if you guys know this, but in Las Vegas, in December, it's big rodeo time. There's a huge rodeo, a global rodeo that comes to Las Vegas every year. It takes up most of the beginning of December. And there's parties all over town, and there's concerts and special shops that open up. And then there's the rodeo itself, and the rodeo itself has like multiple events every single day. It's a much more welcome event than F1. If you were to ask the residents here, they much prefer the rodeo to F1, and F1 is coming in a month, roughly. In fact, they're already preparing stuff for F1. They've already shut down some areas and stuff. But yeah, but that's another reason why the cowboy hat's going to come in handy, because in December you can wear a cowboy hat, and there's like 1 million people wearing cowboy hats because it's rodeo time. So looking forward to that. Yassine, my good friend Yassine from Tangier, Morocco. Yassine, hope you're doing well out there with your studies. Let us know how those are going. Okay, so Rex is pro hat, Yassine is pro hat, Mohammed is also pro hat. Ram from Wichita, Kansas. Ram, good to see you. I think it's your first time, so welcome. Hope you're doing well. Let us know what you do out there in Wichita. I think it's your first time. Are you a student out there, or what's going on in Wichita? Let us know. Manoj is pro hat. Thank you very much, everybody. Don't deploy your model without tuning those spurs, folks. Yeah, good advice to live by. Oh man, I don't know. This hat has seen better days. Yeah, on Insta it looks like a filter. That's hilarious. That's funny. It does look like a filter in LHM Engineer. I'm watching it on Insta on this screen, and it does look like a filter. Osama's giving me a triple one. Wow, Osama, that means you really like the hat. Okay. Like I said, I had a laughing fit when I first saw myself. It's hilarious. Denelson, our good friend Denelson. Good morning, everyone. Nice hat, Dennis. You think so? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Just trying something different, guys. Just trying something different. This content creator stuff. You gotta be an expert. You gotta know what you're talking about. But you gotta be part entertainer, right? So just trying different stuff. Willionaire, welcome. I don't think I think this is your first time, so welcome. Nice hat. Thank you. I'm glad one of you thinks so. Willionaire, let us know where you're from. We ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know the city, state, province, country. Just give a quick little location check for us to be able to know a little bit about you. And again, yeah, if you're joining us late, please go ahead and do that. We do ask people to introduce themselves. Keeps the chat professional, keeps you engaged, right? Keeps it all inclusive. So, oh my gosh, so that's all the introductions. So I really hope that everyone's doing well. Yeah, so let's get started. I wanted to take a look at this infographic. I posted an infographic on Discord, something that I wanted to discuss, and let me go ahead and bring that up. So I came across this infographic, and it caught my eye because I think there's a lot of interesting things in it, but it's also a good exercise for all of us to talk about these things. And well, one, I as I mentioned before, I think it's important for you to have an opinion, right? If you're going to be an AI professional, people are going to be approaching you with questions. So it's important to have an opinion on things. Very healthy thing to do, right? Plus, it helps you establish your expertise, right? So this is the kind of stuff, and also the second thing I want to say is you should also be applying a critical eye to this, right? You should be developing the skills to be able to say, yeah, I like what's being presented here. Or no, this is terrible. I wouldn't, I have my doubts about this company or this product or this approach or this white paper, right? Being able to develop those skills for yourself, that critical thinking, that independent thinking, right? Don't tell me what the company says. Tell me what you think about it, right? Having that skill and going through that process, super important, right? Very important for you guys to be able to do that. So that's why when things like this come across my desk, I use it too as a little bit of an exercise to kind of refresh my thoughts and my skills and just be able to say, okay, yeah, this makes sense, or this is a product I might want to look at, or this company seems like they know what they're talking about, or no, this looks terrible. Why would I pay attention to this? Or I think this number is off. This doesn't make sense to me. Very healthy process for you to go through. Okay? So this is something that came across my desk. It's got a couple of different portions. But right from the beginning, right? They try to catch your eye. Right from the beginning, I want us to focus on this. Only 54% of AI projects make it from pilot to production. I'll say that again. Only 54% of AI projects make it from pilot to production. What do you guys think about that number? Give me your thoughts in the chat below. Is it high? Is it low? Does that sound about right to you? Why would that number, why would that number be like that? What are your concerns when, if any, when you see that number? Because you may not be concerned. You might say, no, that number is wrong. I think it's much higher, so who cares? Right? But what do you guys think? Right? This is a company, this is a vendor that's actively trying to pitch you or, trying to sell you on something. So your boss is going to come to you and say, hey, what'd you think of that company? What do you think of that product or those materials they sent us over? It's important for you to have an opinion, right? So what do you guys think? All right, so Leo's saying, I think it's normal. First, I feel like privacy doesn't exist anymore. Second, it's okay to start something and see it actually wants something else. I'd like to see what were the parameters for this analysis. Okay, cool. Anybody else? Or you can just say, hey, I agree with Leo or whatever you'd like. All right, so I appreciate that Rex is taking a little bit of a different angle here. Isn't it too early for AI projects in general? I mean, companies are still trying to cope with digital transformation and grasping how to use data in their everyday process. At least that's what I've read, but I can be wrong. Okay, cool. I appreciate both of these viewpoints. Anybody else? See, another reason this catches my eye is because it's such a definitive statement, right? What do you guys think? I'm going to say that sounds about right just because, I'm sorry, this is Dendelson. I'm going to say that sounds just about right because I believe they can sometimes be obstacles to great or there could be funding issues for departments. Okay, yeah. Anybody else? Last call. So I, I appreciate the 3 viewpoints by Rex, Leo, and Denelson. Okay. Yassine, I see your answer. I'm going to come right back to it. So I appreciate the points by Rex, Leo, and Denelson. And guys, the 3 of you, please correct me if I'm wrong, but by your answers, I'm going to say that you generally agree with the number, or you're accepting the number, right? But Yassine brings up a point that I also kind of lean towards. I don't think it would be that easy to tell. There's a lot of factors that play into this. I love it, Yassine. I'm of the same mindset. Because how would you collect this data? How do you make such a definitive statement? Like, seriously, like, how do you collect this data? Like, I'd want to know how they came up with 54%. Like, how did you actually study that? Like, that's a definitive number to be saying it's 54%. Like, it makes me doubt their sources, right? Or their collection methods. So, Rex, Leo, and Denelson, it sounds like you guys are willing to accept the 54%. And, and there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, that's kind of like where, like, it kind of smells bad from the beginning. Like, how would you even know? At best, you're probably doing it via executive survey, right? People are telling you that that's what their failure rate is. I mean, how would you collect that? Who's collecting that? Probably just like a phone call or an email survey. Like a one-off, right? And then that raises other questions, like how old is that data? AI is moving quickly, right? So Yassine, it looks like you're applying a critical eye to the fundamental number itself, and I agree, right? Rex says, I wasn't considering if the data behind the number is actually valid. I should have thought yeah, Rex. I mean, I think that should be step 1, right? Step 1 is, should I even trust the number? Should I trust the company? So here's where it gets a little bit trickier, because now what you can do is, we can take something like Yassine's thought, and then you apply your own thought, right? My own bias is my own experience, my own deployments, projects I have in flight, all that, right? When I take that number and then I shade it with that information, I'm actually willing to say that the number is lower than 54%. I think that, especially if we're talking about from like an idea stage. But here, they are saying pilot, right? Make it to a pilot stage. But from what I have seen, if you take it from idea and even the pilot stage, it's probably lower than 54%. Because to Rex's earlier point, a lot of companies don't always appreciate the amount of work it's going to take to bring something to market, right? They get bogged down in other things, right? They get bogged down in, oh, wow, I didn't know I was going to need that much data and it's going to take that much time and that much cost, right? So Rex is helping us out here. According to the reference, the number comes from a Gartner survey. Okay, that's good. But then how many people? Who were they? How long ago was it? How do you define AI projects, right? So I hear you, Rex, and I appreciate that. But, it just raises more and more questions of, in order for me to believe this number, I also have to believe in the Gartner methods and in who was part of their survey pool and the number of samples, right? So it's just one of those things where I want you guys to don't take the number as a given, question the number, right? Question the stats. that you're being shown. That's a very healthy thing to do. We're all data people, right? We're all statistics and data nerds, right? We're supposed to question these things. But thank you for the help there with the reference, Rex. All right, so let's move on because there's a couple other sections we should talk about. So these are the 3 general phases that they're proposing. What do you guys think? While you guys think about that, I want to read Rex's comment. Definitely, as data professionals, we should be critical about the information we're given. Absolutely, Rex. Absolutely. Right? And, you know, just so we're clear on this too, I'm also telling you guys this, not just from the data professional side, but also for you and your expertise and your career, right? Because look, when just to give you, you know, the real world view here, right? When somebody like an Intel or an IBM comes in, managing directors don't go to these meetings. They send you, right? You're their data scientist. Managing directors don't have time for this. Directors don't have time for this. So trust me, I have been in multiple situations where a managing director will send me an email and say, hey, I got this guy coming in. The company's kind of, sort of highly recommended. Did you meet with them and report back to me? Like that's a common request. You will get that request at many points in your career. You know, obviously the managing director has to trust you and you got to prove yourself before that to be in that position. But that will happen, right? And then the managing director is going to come to you and say, hey, you sat in on that meeting. What'd you think? So when we're looking at these numbers and being critical, it's not just like, oh, I want to come down on Intel or on these vendors. It's that your reputation is being staked on that because you don't want to give your higher ups bad information, right? So I want you guys to apply those critical eyes because you're going to be turning around and saying, yeah, the product seemed decent. I think we should talk to these guys, because that's when the managing director starts meeting with them and, you know, all that other stuff. But you don't want to be the source of that initial bad recommendation, right? And that's not good on you. So keep in mind, that's another reason why, you know, we should be critical, not just because of the data side, but just because of the reputation and recommendation side. All right, so Intel's telling you that when you bring them in as consultants, they're going to run you through these 3 phases. What do you guys think? You guys on board with this? Right? I mean, at a high level, this is the methodology, and you guys know how much I stress methodology, yeah? Hey, Navik, welcome to the chat. We always ask people to introduce themselves, so let us know your city, state, province, country, please, okay? What do you guys think? So everyone's on board with the methodology? Leo says no. Danielson says no. Yassine says, I think it's lacking some steps. All right. Um, where do you guys think we're lacking? Because I think all of you are on the right track, right? There was one phase that to me jumped out immediately as soon as I saw this. Now, Denelson does say too vague. Okay, you're right. And we're going to go into more detail. They do provide a little bit more detail, not so great in some sections. But if this is what they're proposing to you as a high level, there are things that should still be jumping out at you. So Denelson, I agree with you. It's definitely too vague. But give me, and this goes for anybody else in the chat, give me your number one step or phase or whatever that you think would improve the vagueness. What would improve this for you, Denelson? If anything, maybe you're saying, oh no, it's just it's too much, right? Or not nearly enough. But to me, there are definitely elements that jumped out at me. Kevin from Kampala in Uganda. Welcome, Kevin. Good to see you. Kevin, I'm tempted to say this is your first time. If it is, welcome. Glad to see you. Kevin, we are looking at an infographic that was provided by Intel about their approach to AI and data science in general. So we are looking at the methodology. So anybody, oh, sorry, what happened there? Weird. Yeah, so if anybody wants to comment on what they think would improve this at a high level, let me know. Yassine says we need to manage environments. Okay. Okay. You do experimentations. Well, wouldn't that be part of the model selection and training? Sorry, I jumped ahead there. Yes, Yassine, it feels like those concerns would be part of the model selection and training. So maybe we'll find that more detail in that model. But is there anything else you're seeing? Anything else that you kind of seems missing to you? Denelson says the data ingress part in the data section, the deploy section as well. Not sure what specifically, but it feels off. Okay. 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 So Denelson is kind of, maybe using a little bit of his gut instinct and saying, okay, something still seems missing. Fair enough. Anybody else want to contribute? How much detail should we expect from the short overview document? As the document comes from Intel, I'm expecting to show only enough to make them more appealing. So I'd expect some details will only be shared after the users show more interest. Rex, love those observations. Consider the source, right? Always consider the source, right? So yeah, I mean, obviously, and I think we're going to see that in some of the later sections, to your point, Rex. Like, if you look at the, when we get to the deploy section, it's all Intel, nonsense, right? But we should still evaluate this in the sense that, hey, Intel data scientists produce these, right? Or, these companies, they have consulting arms. So this could be Intel sending you hardware info, but they're trying to sell you on consulting services. That happens, right? Happens a lot. So, or you know what? Also, a lot of these companies, to buy their hardware, usually when you buy from these companies, the hardware price is one thing, and then the maintenance contract is another, right? So maybe they're trying to sell you on some consulting as part of the maintenance contract, and you can say, no, we've seen your materials, we'll do our own maintenance, right? That can happen too, right? If you don't believe in their consulting capabilities, right? You might love their hardware, but you'll do the work yourself. So Yassine says the maintenance. Yep. I agree with that. It does feel like there should be some mention of maintenance, right? Leo talks about feature selection. Yeah, Leo, but that's something that you probably would still find within the data. So I think we still need to keep a little bit of a higher level view, right? Leo says that it might be an attempt to make it user friendly and show that it's not a big deal. Okay. All right, Fatima, I like your comment here. Now, Fatima, I think, is trying to steer us in the direction. I suggest problem definition. Okay. See, that I think is something that is definitely missing, right? See, now I'm describing it as the human element, right? To me, that's the first thing that jumped out. Where's the human element in this? AI tools are ultimately built to serve humans. Some sort of business need, some sort of requirement that we have. So, I think Fatima's kind of going in the direction, right? But where's the human element? Where's the problem definition? Where's the ideation? Where's the human feedback? I'll tell you guys right now, and you can write down this moment, quote me on this as much as you want. I will die on this hill. The majority of AI and machine learning and data science projects fail or don't reach their potential because of the lack of planning for human validation. I will die on that hill. I mean, it's so critical to the success, right? One day, somebody's going to come to you and say, well, why is that algorithm only 60% accurate? Well, because you didn't give me enough people to validate. You didn't give me enough human validators. I guarantee you're going to have that conversation in your career at some point, at multiple points in your career. Right? So that's the part that I'm looking for in something like this. If you're going to come to me and say, hey, here's our methodology, you got to show me a human element. Where's your stakeholder discussions? Where's your ideation? Where's your human validation? And that is 100% missing from here. Right? Yassine says, I agree with Fatima. They are focusing only on the tech. That's exactly right, Yassine. Right? This is purely technical. I'm just a data science robot, working on Intel hardware. Don't be that guy. Right? Don't be you guys always know I tell you, don't be the data science robot. Don't be the math robot. Right? Don't be the coding robot. It's a human job, right? Being a data scientist is ultimately a human job. So yes. So you guys got there, right? I mean, that's really what jumped out at me. Where's the human element in this? Like, there's zero humanity in this, right? That's bad. Let me take care of a couple more here. Rising Sun, this is Anupam Tiwari from Mumbai, India. Welcome, Anupam. I think you've been here before, haven't you? It's not your first time. So glad to see you here. Sir, screen of it is not fully visible, only part of it is visible. Yeah, Anupam, that's because you're on Instagram. On Instagram, it's a vertical format. So if you want to switch over to YouTube, Data Science with Dennis, it's a little bit easier to see, but I appreciate that feedback, Anupam. Joseph says, I think something that I'm also curious about is data processing, power, and infrastructure. Yeah, Joseph, great points. Yeah, guys, there's been a lot of discussion recently about the power requirements that AI is causing, right? I mean, they're tied to the same Power grid, the rest of us are, right? Power grid only has so much capability. So yeah, I'm concerned about that too, Joseph. So, of course, you know, somebody like Intel is going to paint a great picture of how green they are and low power consumption, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it's definitely a concern. Leo says, I think it's they're only trying to show how easy it is for the user to build the project. I wouldn't expect any reasoning tool. Reasoning tool. Do you mean AI by that, Leo? Help me understand what you mean by reasoning tool, please. Rex, we're gonna get to the next page, okay? Is a human element implied the next page under the data image? Let's get to that. Let's get to that. And I'm gonna say, but you know what though, Rex? I'm gonna say no. And I'm gonna say no because the human element is not a one-time stage. It's throughout the project. Like here, in between model and deploy is a massive human stage, right? How can you deploy a model if you haven't had human eyes on it, right? So that's part of it. Rex says simplify and speed up data workflows. Yeah, but they always tell you that, Rex. They always tell you. Today is data science of Cowboy. Well, thank you very much. Leo says, yeah, describing any human aspect on what they're offering. But they should be though, Leo, right? If they aren't, then it's their first rodeo, right? I mean, to me, that's one of the markers, right? If you can understand the importance of human validation, you're showing me that you've deployed a model or two, right? If you don't understand, if that doesn't resonate with you, that means like it's like your first model you're ever deploying. Like the experienced people know that human validation is critical. Because, you know, and in some cases they know that because it's bitten them in the butt before. All right, so let's go on to the next section because it seems like some of you have looked ahead, and that's okay, right? All right. So maybe zoom just a little less so we can see it all in one shot. Okay, yeah, so here. Actually, no, we were doing pretty good there. Okay, yeah, so this is basically the entire graphic. You know, maybe the top and bottom's cut off just a little bit. But what do you guys think here? They mention, they're very specific. They mention a couple frameworks over here, right? They're mentioning scikit-learn, XGBoost, Intel processors can run medium to large data sets in memory. I guess that's okay. Is that okay? I guess it depends on what you mean by medium and large. But what do you guys think here? And they provide a little bit of a methodology here, right? So in case you guys can't see this clearly or follow it, it's like a little snake. This is poor visualization, by the way. So they want to do collection, ingestion, analysis, cleanup, labeling, validation, preparation, and then transformation. What do you guys think? Now remember, in their methodology, after these steps, you go into modeling, right? Is that good? Is that bad? What do you guys think? Okay, so Leo comes back to the feature selection. Yeah. Yeah, the feature selection, definitely missing, right? Maybe they would argue back that that there's part of it in the transformation stage, Leo. Maybe, but you know, to kind of feed on Leo's point here, is everybody comfortable with transformation being the last step in the process? What do you guys think about the order of this process? I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with validation, or excuse me, transformation being the last step in the process. Shouldn't it be validation? Or maybe even repeat steps? Nothing wrong with repeating steps, right? So Sarvesh says, I think preparation and transformation should include feature selection. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, Leo, you know, I totally understand Leo's concern. I'd like to see it more explicitly laid out too. But my gut does tell me that that's what Sarvesh and Intel would tell you the same thing, that it's part of their transformation. But is that a good thing though, to have it as the last step? I don't know. I don't know. Leo, I also like how you're good at picking out things that are, you know, not quite right because they stand out to you as missing. Is there anything else in here that's missing? I would understand transformation as changing values. Looks like a good recipe for it. Not always, Leo. And transformations can include feature selection. Or changing data format. Sometimes. But that's a good thing, right? That's part of transformations. You know, like I've always used the example of a time date stamp, right? If you can take a time date stamp, you know, on sales, on transactions, and instead you turn it into AM or PM sales, right? You want to understand whether your sales are happening in the morning or the afternoon. That's a format change. That's a transform, but that's a good one. Like you kind of want those, right? So it might be including it though. I think it might. I think that's what Intel's answer would be here. But here's what's jumping out at me, guys. Where's visualization? Where's my visualization step? So think about the visualization. So Leo says, I would personally do the cleanup before the analysis. Analysis should be done after cleaning. Oh, that's funny. Both of you came up with the same statement at the same time. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I agree. So just so you guys are clear, both Leo and Sarvesh are proposing that these two steps are reversed. You should be doing collection, ingestion, then cleanup, and then analysis. And I completely agree. I completely agree. I think somebody at Intel didn't double check this. But those should probably be swapped around. Leo says, yeah, we're siblings. Leo, you're siblings with everybody. Yeah, so what do you guys think? I think they're making a valid point here, guys. Probably visualization is within analysis. Maybe. But again, the visualization to me is such an important part because guess what? It involves the stakeholder again, right? It invites them to come back to the discussion table and say, hey, we got some really cool visualizations to share with you. Would you like to have a meeting? Nobody turns down that meeting, right? Joseph says, okay, so Joseph's on board with switching and mouse. This is Joseph's on board with Leo and Sarvesh. I agree too, guys, right? Good catch. You know, I didn't catch that one my first pass. So credit to Leo and Sarvesh for catching that. Yeah, totally agree. I think that's actually a legitimate mistake in the infographic. So Denelson says, 2 questions. Where are we getting our data from? Why isn't validation coming up more, or at least one more time at the end? Yeah, I mean, to your first question, Denelson, it's probably under collection, right? That's probably what they would tell you. But yeah, I totally agree. Nothing wrong with having additional or multiple, rather, validation steps. I would 100% back that, right? Like if you were working for me on one of my teams and you said, hey, I want to take the time to do an additional validation, I would never turn that down, right? Like why like it's a good practice, right? Why wouldn't you want to do that? So yeah, Danielson, I'm on board with that. I'm definitely on board with it having it at the very end. I am not comfortable with transformation being the last step here. I think validation should be one of the last steps. And it's totally okay to be a repeated step. So yeah. Yeah, good catch there, Danielson. Leo says, curious what kind of validation they're seeking before modeling. Good question, Leo, but it totally depends on the problem, right? How you validate structured data is different than how you validate image data, which is different than how you validate NLP data, right? So yeah, it's totally project dependent. There is no single answer to that. By the way, I'm surprised nobody's commented on them mentioning XGBoost or scikit-learn. Nobody wants to comment on that? I'm just curious. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys remember when XGBoost was a thing? Like back in like 2017, 2018? XGBoost is gonna save the world, man. Nobody wants to comment on XGBoost? Am I just showing my age? All right. Well, let me know if you guys are gonna if that caught anybody's attention. It caught my attention because I remember when it was like all the rage, right? Oh, if you're not using XGBoost, you're not a data scientist. Mike says, hello, first time to be here. I'm a new bootcamp graduate. Nice to meet you all. Cool, Mike. Nice to see you. You know, Mike, so glad to see more people on YouTube. I've been growing like crazy on YouTube. You know, guys, I used to tell people I was averaging 1,000 users a day on YouTube. And now I'm averaging like 1,500 users on YouTube. Like it's crazy, like 1,500 over the last week. So thank you so much for being here, Mike. Thanks so much to all of you for your support. I want to make sure I always stop to thank you guys because you guys make this great. But we're gonna have a lot of new people in the chat. So thanks so much for being here. Leo says, I need to know more about what they mean by transformation. Labeling would count as part of transformation. Labeling counts as part of transformation. Yeah. Yeah, you could sell me on that, Leo. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Leo, thanks for being a great host there. Mike is telling us from Ethiopia, East Africa. Very cool, Mike. We've had a few people from Ethiopia. So glad to see you. Muhammad says, wasn't part of the data science journey when XGBoost was the yeah, okay, so Muhammad, I'm not the only old person. Muhammad also remembers it. But yeah, right around that 2017, 2018 time was the big hype for data science is the sexiest job and XGBoost and this and all that other trash, right? But yeah, Muhammad, that's exactly right. XGBoost, data science, all of that was like 2017, 2018. all that time period. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Leo says, I think the marketing team might have prepared that without much domain knowledge. Yeah, absolutely, Leo. And you know what? They're going to send the marketing team to you to present this, right? They don't always send technical people, right? They don't always send tech people. They're going to send the people who created this, who know just enough to be dangerous, right? But yeah, right? I think you're bringing up a good point there. Yeah. Dennelson says, I had a professor who questioned all groups for a project why they didn't use or did use XGBoost. Interesting. Interesting. Now, Dennelson, do you think that was because of one of those things I just said? Like, you know, like people thought like XGBoost was like the best you could do, right? Or do you think it was more like a trick question type of thing? Because I've done like hackathon judging or like project judging, and I've asked that question, like I don't want to know, I don't want to hear their justification for using a model. I want to know why they didn't use a particular model. So like I've used it as like a trick question, you know, just to kind of see like if they're like, are you the real deal or do you only know XGBoost? You know what I mean? Like if you tell me, hey, I did this with XGBoost, it's like, okay, great. Well, that just means you're an XGBoost expert, but did you do enough work to be smart enough to know that this other model wouldn't work and why? You know what I mean? Like I use it as a reverse. So do you think the professor was doing that, or was it more just like he was bought into the XGBoost hype? Let me know. Leo says, I'm a great host. Thank you. And you know what? And you know why you're one of my moderators, Leo? Because you're so humble. You're such a humble guy. See, guys, if you want to be one of my moderators, I require you guys to be humble, right? And if you want a good example of humbleness, please, I want all of us to follow Leo's example. He's such a humble guy, you know. I really wish he would speak up for himself more. But that's why Leo's one of my great moderators, guys. I think we should all have a little Leo. I think we should all have a little Leo inside of us. I'm sorry. Oh, all right. Guys, this stream has been weird. This stupid hat is like cursed. This is a cursed hat. Maybe I'll try a different cowboy hat. Yeah. I think why Yassine's gonna try to put us back on track here. I think why they chose the sklearn and XGBoost, because their actual target audience are people who are just following the hype. Yeah. Maybe Yassine. Just follow the trend, right? They're just following the trend. Now, I will say though, this is a recent infographic. I don't think there's as much XGBoost hype now as there was back then, right? But that's why it kind of caught my eye, right? Because yeah, maybe like, you know, maybe coming back to the same thing about the marketing people, right? Like maybe this is like a marketing person who still thinks XGBoost is hot because that's the last thing they ever read, right? So yeah, maybe there's something there to it. They know experts are already less likely to want to use it. Okay. Black hat data scientist is a thing, guys. Yeah, maybe, right? Although this is my only black one. I have other colors, so maybe I'll show you. Well, maybe I'll bring on the other hats. We'll see. And by the way, I thought it was hilarious last time. I got comments about how sometimes the comments in the chat like hide my face. So now I'm trying to lean in more to do it even more. Because I mean, come on, who cares if the comments are on top of my face or not? This isn't a beauty contest, guys. So yes, I'm gonna lean more over here. That way they can't see. I'm hidden. Now you guys can't see me. I'm over under the comments. You can't see me anymore. Oh man. The reason was because in our class we had some students who had more experience with mono, so they kept suggesting XGBoost during the engagement part of the lesson. Okay, so he was trying to actually push back against it when he was justifying the use of XGBoost, right? That's a good thing. Okay. See, that means I misunderstood your previous message because I thought you were meaning that like in a negative way. But it sounds like if he's pushing it and saying, well, don't always tell me XGBoost, tell me other reasons why you're not using other models. I'm on board with that. I'm kind of on board with that. Leo apparently likes me hiding behind the comment. See, you can't see me anymore, guys. I get the weirdest comments sometimes. You guys are funny sometimes. All right, I think we're ready to move on to the next page. All right, so in the next section. So guys, I will say this, that after the data section in this document, it does kind of take a nosedive into more marketing materials. So I don't know how much we're going to get out of this particular section. You know, because here's where we're talking about their toolkits and their Xeon processors. And, you know, this is where it gets salesy, right? What do you guys think? Anything jumping out at you? And if there's nothing, that's okay, right? But let me know. So it's totally okay if you want to say, no, nothing really jumped out at me, you know, or you know, this is too salesy. But let me know if anything jumps out. Oh, they use PyTorch. I'm sold. Where do I sign? Oh, that's hilarious, Rex. That's funny. Leo says they've mixed a lot of things in there. A lot of marketing team not helping. Yeah. Lot of marketing speak in this slide, right? So yeah. So to Rex's point, I see all of this down here, right? And they mentioned TensorFlow, PyTorch, Intel 1 API, OpenVINO toolkit. So is anybody comfortable with all of these toolkits and all of these layers upon layers upon layers? Like at some point, isn't all of that like counterproductive? Right? You guys that have attended, you know, all of my content before know that we've gotten a lot done just with a simple console on a little Mac Mini with code. Do you really need another toolkit to work with neural networks? You know, and I don't mean that from like a learning perspective. I'm literally talking about from like just like a layering and processing perspective. If you're going to sit there and you're going to train a large model with multiple layers and it's going to take hours and hours, if not days, to train, those little milliseconds you can cut out kind of mean something, right? If you can cut out a few milliseconds, but you're going to go through like these training cycles of all these computations, it's kind of becomes significant, right? They're throwing a wide net, trying to catch as many leads as possible. Yeah, maybe, Rex, but that's where we're bringing in our critical eye, right? because that's where you can report back and you can say, hey, Mr. Managing Director, I sat through the Intel presentation. I wasn't really on board with their model section because they're really just trying to sell us a bunch of new processors, and we wouldn't be using their toolkits anyways. My team has already developed TensorFlow models with no additional toolkits. Remember that model we did for you last year? That was using TensorFlow with just the TensorFlow library. We didn't. Why do we need to pay Intel extra for these other toolkits when we've already proven we can do without it? Right? So that's still you using your critical eye. Right, Rex? Coming back to a discussion we were having earlier, where it's like, okay, like what's my report back to my bosses about this? Are you excited about the OpenVINO toolkit? Maybe, maybe not. So those are the types of reasons why I picked these things up, and why I wanted to share this infographic with all of you. Because this is where you kind of start to see, like, well, wait a minute, like, I don't want to like back these people and tell my bosses that it was good when we don't need another toolkit for TensorFlow. My team's doing just fine without them. Right? So keep that in mind, guys. All right. So I think we've gotten everything we can out of this one. Like I said, anybody else want to comment? Let me know. But lots of marketing stuff here, right? And then speaking of marketing, this is their deploy. I think that's it, right? Yeah, the rest is just closing stuff. But this is their deploy. So not nearly as much information here as the other two slides or sections. What do you guys think? Dennelson says, where is the 70% coming from? Yeah, let's look at that. Intel processors represent approximately 70% of the processor units that are running AI inference workloads in the data center. Yeah, I agree with that, Dennelson. I'm suspicious of that number too, because obviously you could say, well, they got it from their installed user base, right? But that's not what this is saying. This is saying that they are specifically running AI inference workloads. How do you determine that? Rex, it looks like you're already familiar with the references, so maybe you can tell us if that's also the same Gartner survey. But yeah, I mean, there's no way to determine that, right? That it's both Intel and running and being used for AI inference. There's probably no reliable way to prove that, right? Sounds like a great number, though. Ant, welcome. Glad to see you on Twitter. Let us know where you're from. We ask people to let us know their city, state, province, country when they first join our chat. So Muhammad says, based on Intel market modeling of the worldwide install base of data center servers running AI inference workloads as of December 2021. Oh, wow. That's 3 years ago, basically, right? Okay, and thank you, Rex, for the reference also. Is anybody on board with that reference? 2021? 3 years ago? Are there any other companies that have come along in the last 3 years? Are there any other Intel competitors in the last 3 years? I wish I could think of one. So I think Muhammad and Rex are showing us a really good reason why we should always be reading the references, right? Leo says, Intel competitors, I don't think so. They're just better. Yeah, you could definitely say that. You know, you could definitely say that Intel has lost a step, right? But yeah, this infographic just came out. At least that's my understanding. I'll double check that. But it just came out. And they're citing install bases from 3 years ago. I don't know. I don't know if that makes me comfortable, guys. And I don't know. Has there been the rise of any chip companies in the last 3 years? Oh, I can't think of any. Right? Like, so yeah, so credit to Denelson for bringing that up, right? You know, to applying a critical eye there. Because yeah, I mean, that just sounds like old information that may not be accurate anymore. What do you guys think? I think that was the last of it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sarvesh, yes, Sarvesh, thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, Sarvesh is obviously, you know, bringing up the primary reason why Intel might have been quoting, and, you know, I hate to say this, but intentionally quoting an old number, right? The landscape for chips, especially for AI, has changed significantly in the last 3 years, right? So this is not good, right? All right, so at this point, you would take everything you've learned, right? Maybe, you know, maybe you received this as part of a greater presentation that they gave, so on and so forth. And you're supposed to have an opinion on this, right? You're supposed to form a position on this, whether it's for yourself, for your colleagues, for your bosses, right? This is where, you know, your critical thinking that, by the way, all of you have done a great job with. Now you have to come to a conclusion, right? So I think, you know, I think we have a pretty good consensus here as far as how we feel about it. But now you have to come up with a conclusion and report to your bosses on it, right? So I hope that that helps to illustrate a very, very common practice that both you will be asked to do and that you should be doing on your own just to kind of help improve your own skills. Okay? Because again, I think it's healthy to go through this. It's healthy to know what's out there in terms of the industry. All right? All right, guys. So as always, I'm really grateful for the time that we get to spend together. Hope that you found this helpful, you know, bringing you something a little bit different. And again, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Please keep on coming back. I love it when people come back. And I'm also really grateful for my consistent supporters. So thank you so much for that. I want you guys to, you know, please be aware that there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world. So please take care of yourselves, watch out for yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.